Okay, so in this episode, we actually finally figure out what the actual backstory behind Queen really is, about how she became about how she came to work under Professor Clover, and we also find out a bit more about what Professor Clover's master plan ultimately is. So, it starts off with Joker having left to go retrieve the silver egg before Queen can smash it, since he realizes that's likely where she's going. And meanwhile, Silverheart is actually still recovering and is mumbling to himself in his sleep about how he's sorry to her. And it's at this point where we actually find out the quote-unquote backstory from Professor Clover via flashback. So as it flashes back to the night where Queen discovered she's not actually Silverheart's granddaughter, Professor Clover then proceeds to take her to the castle where she was born. And proceeds to, quote-unquote, explain about how Silverheart killed her parents. And it's clear that the building is just a complete ruin. It's a complete shambles. It was destroyed in a fire. And Professor Clover then proceeds to, quote-unquote, explain about how Silverheart had actually shown up to steal a particular treasure. But when he got there, he was actually backed into the corner by the owners, and he was forced to defend himself and wound up killing them. At which point he then noticed that that Queen was alone in her crib, and realizing that he couldn't leave a child alone by herself, he wound up stealing her and taking her away from that place. And eventually the building was completely and utterly destroyed. So and Queen is very doubtful about the fact that Silverheart would actually destroy it, but as proof, Silverheart then proceeds to produce a pocket watch that is owned by Silverheart and proceeds to claim how the owner of the pocket watch, how the owner of the house, likely the king of Emerald, likely stole it off of Silverheart's person when he was attacked, and realizing that Silverheart, and believing that Silverheart has indeed killed her parents, she then proceeds to go on her dark path to actually try and take her revenge against the Phantom Thieves. At which point it then cuts to the modern day where Joker is actually chasing after the plane that the silver egg is on in the Road Joker, since obviously he knows that as he explains, planes follow a set route through the air that they have to follow. And that is very true in real life. They actually do have to follow a set flight pattern to go to and from different locations. And this is so that they don't actually run into each other, among other things. But he also explains that because they always follow a set route, if you can manage to memorize that route, you can easily follow them. Case in point, Joker then proceeds to follow after the plane with the silver egg in the Sky Joker, and then fires a suction cup harpoon at it so that he can actually get aboard the plane. Meanwhile, Queen has since gone through the plane's luggage and has actually found the silver egg and is about to smash it, but Rocco gets in her way and stands on top of it, and Queen demands that Rocco get out of her way before they can actually destroy it, so that she can actually destroy it, pointing out that she needs to, so that the Phantom Thieves will actually go away for good. But as she's kind of arguing with Rocco about moving, it's at this point where the harpoon actually hits the plane, it shakes a little bit, and Queen wonders what that is, but decides that's not really important. It gets ready to go smash the silver egg now that Rocco has been knocked off of the box by the turbulence. But then Joker barges in, telling her not to, and then proceeds to try and explain to her that she's actually misunderstood what's actually happened. But Queen points out that she doesn't actually want to hear any of Joker's excuses, pointing out that Silverheart killed her parents and that he is no family of hers. And then points out that she's going to destroy all the treasures so that the Phantom Thieves disappear. But in response, Joker merely points out that that's not true, and then proceeds to produce the necklace that Queen was wearing the night that she was found by Professor Clover. And she demands to know where he got it, and proceeds to start attacking and fighting. And And with Hachi trying to break up the fight, might I add, he's trying to dissuade them to stop fighting. But it quickly becomes apparent that Joker is completely outmatched, because obviously Queen has a sword, which he proclaims can cut through anything, and he quickly realizes he needs to actually figure out a way to deal with the sword, and proceeds to reach into his pocket for something, which Queen catches onto as she's about to go in for a killing blow, and then points out that she knows all of Joker's tricks and realizes that he's going after something. And points out that she knows full well that he's about to pull something to try and defeat her. And indeed, he pulls out his Silverheart's rum, and which Hachi believes is so that he can actually set the sword on fire. But before he can actually do any of that, Queen actually smashes the bottle and cuts it up into pieces, and it becomes covered in alcohol as a result. At which point she proclaims that nothing is going to actually stop her from destroying the Phantom Thieves, since the Phantom Thieves took her parents and they're never coming back. But Roko then speaks. Interestingly enough, Roko then proceeds to speak and explains how she's been watching over Queen the entire time, and she points out that she knows in her heart that this isn't actually what's going on, and that her parents actually wouldn't want this. But Joker even reminisces with Roko like they're old friends, believing Hachi is the only one confused because everybody else knows that this is normal except for Hachi, who doesn't seem to realize that Roko was a talking dog this whole time, and is also still, by the end of this episode, a little thrown for a loop that Roko can talk, despite all intents and purposes. Roko's a dog. Dogs aren't supposed to talk, which is interesting. As Roko tries to dissuade Queen, she merely points out that her parents are never coming back, and that she needs to destroy the Phantom Thieves if she wants to successfully take her revenge. And then lunges at Joker and in the process actually cuts a hole in the side of the plane, which causes a bunch of air to rush out, and because of that, the inside of the cabin is actually destabilized, and the pressure causes the silver egg to start going out the hole. And Joker quickly realizes he needs to do something, or the silver egg is going to go out the hole. So he blows some of his balloon gum to actually try and cushion the egg so it actually gets stuck in it. But it quickly becomes apparent that the gum isn't going to hold, because as it turns out, and this is evident by the fact that they're very high up right now, but it quickly becomes apparent that the bubble is actually going to that the bubble is actually freezing, and the silver egg is about to go out the hole. And Hachi quickly realizes he needs to do something, or it's actually going to go out the hole, and he tries to grab it and pull it out of the gum, but he winds up going out of the hole, which causes Joker to panic. But as it turns out, Hachi is completely fine, and he winds up landing on the wing of the airplane. And at which point he almost tumbles off the edge, but Joker comes out of the plane and catches him. At which point Queen proceeds to join them outside to continue their fight. And points out that she's not going to be deterred by the fact that they're trying to escape, pointing out that obviously she's going to deal with them as quickly as she can, so that she can actually destroy the treasure. At which point Joker tells Hachi to actually escape to the Air Joker so that he can deal with Queen. And Hachi goes to do that, but Queen actually snaps the line holding the Air Joker to the outside of the plane, and it proceeds to float away. And Hachi is only barely hanging onto the edge of the plane, but he manages to pull himself back up. But in any case, Joker realizes that he actually isn't a bit of trouble, but realizes that he can actually avoid Queen's sword by actually using his balloon gum to actually fly out of reach of her swinging sword. But as Queen reiterates, that's not going to work, because as we just saw 5 minutes ago, or at least as I've explained 5 minutes ago, it's too cold for his gum to actually work, and it actually winds up falling out of his, and he actually winds up hitting the side of the plane, which causes all of his balloon gum to actually fall out of his pocket and slide off and fall into the open air below. And Joker realizes that he's cornered, and then Queen points out that he has no tricks left, and that she's going to be able to defeat him now. Pointing out that now that once he's out of the way, she'll be able to actually continue destroying treasures without him impeding her. But Joker merely points out that now is the perfect time for him to actually point out that he actually does have one last trick up his sleeve, and that she is in no way now is the time for him to actually pull off a miracle. But she merely points out that he's just spouting nonsense and proceeds to go and attack him, only for Joker to suddenly shatter her sword, and it goes flying over the edge. And Queen quickly realizes that her sword actually became brittle because of the alcohol that was on it. And as Rocco proceeds to explain, metals become brittle when they get cold, and obviously because there was a liquid on the sword, and because they're very high up, it caused the sword to freeze, which meant Joker could easily break it. And now that she's been completely disarmed, Joker then proceeds to explain to her what actually happened. Pointing out that he knows Professor Clover, and then proceeds to explain to her that Professor Clover has actually tricked her. Case in point, he then proceeds to go into an explanation about how he was actually in his house alone, and explains how Professor Clover actually disguised himself as his dead father, and proceeded to proceed to try and steal Joker's treasure. And points out that it's likely that he tried to trick Queen as well, and then proceeds to explain the real story behind what happened. As it turns out, what actually did happen was the Duchy of Emerald's castle was destroyed in a fire. And this treasure and Silverheart actually did wind up stealing Queen and taking her away, but that's where the story that Professor Clover gave her and Silverheart gave Joker actually differs. As Silverheart proceeds to explain, Joker proceeds to explain, what actually happened is that Silverheart got there and her parents were already badly injured, and the treasure he was after was already gone. And he quickly realizes that the building is about to go up in flames. But with the last of her strength, Queen's mother actually told Silverheart to get her baby as far away from the building as possible. And then proceeds to die. So, at which point Silverheart proceeds to actually steal Queen away from the building and get her to safety. And he eventually learns that the building was actually set up with gunpowder and was very much intentional arson. Although Silverheart explains, he realizes that he didn't actually find the treasure he was looking for, but upon seeing Queen's eyes and how beautiful they were, almost like a diamond, he realizes that he did find a pretty good treasure after all, and declares her his Diamond Queen, and proceeds to raise Queen as his own daughter. At which point Joker explains that the reason Silverheart did that is because long ago, as he explained, Silverheart once said to Joker that when they were alone, that life is the greatest treasure of all, and that it should be protected at all costs. And Queen quickly realizes that Professor Clover did indeed trick her, and quickly realizes that because of that she's actually been trying to destroy the Phantom Thieves for a personal vendetta that she never actually had. And realized that she was just playing into Professor Clover's schemes the whole time. And finally realizes that Joker is likely telling her the truth. And realizes that she realizes that because of that she can actually go on to try and make up with her grandfather, since obviously as Joker explains, just because they're not related by blood doesn't mean they're not family. And Joker even goes on to explain how Silverheart is actually recovering in the Air Joker, and that she can actually go see him once they're done. But and Queen actually does happily accept it, and Joker even offers her necklace as a sign of newfound friendship, and as a sign that they're rekindling their friendship again, and that everything is going to be okay. But right at this exact moment, Queen starts the plane actually shifts, and Queen actually goes over the edge of the wing of the airplane. And Joker goes after her and catches her, but it quickly becomes apparent that he's not going to hold on, because when she actually destroyed the alcohol bottle earlier, she also injured Joker's hand, and now he's holding on to the plane with the injured hand, so he's not actually able to pull her up and save her. And Queen even realizes that they're going to fall if Joker isn't careful, and even tells him to let go since it's not worth saving her. But he merely reiterates his previous point that life is a treasure and needs to be protected. At which point Roko and Hachi actually throw the rope from the Joker's harpoon at them so that Queen can actually catch it, so that they can actually pull themselves up. But it then detaches from the side of the plane and falls off, and then Joker and Queen fall off shortly after. At which point Queen's memories of her time with Silverheart actually start flashing through her eyes. And she realizes that she's never actually going to see her grandfather again because she's about to die. So, and she begins to sob to herself, realizing that, and says sorry to Silverheart for everything she's done. But as it turns out, they're not going to die just yet, because at that exact moment, Silverheart actually shows up in his plane, and to try and save them. And Joker quickly realizes what he's trying to do, and tells Queen to hold on to the rope she's currently holding, which she does. At which point, Silverheart actually clips onto the harpoon, which wraps around the bottom of his plane, and they're able to actually, by pulling them on from the landing gear, he's actually able to pull them to safety. And Hachi and Roko actually just to breathe a sigh of relief. With Roko pointing out that she's only been able to watch over Queen this whole time, and is happy she was finally able to do something useful for her for once. With Hachi's response only being what is Roko and why is Roko talking. So yeah, he doesn't really fully understand why Roko's talking, and he never fully figures it out himself. It seems he accepts it by the end of the episode, but he still doesn't fully understand it. And he's still a little confused as to how this is actually possible. But in case, back at his castle, Professor Clover realizes that Queen actually isn't coming back. And then it proceeds to go into a flashback where it is revealed that yes, he was indeed the one who set the fire and killed everybody and killed Queen's parents. And also stole the treasure, which is revealed to be an hourglass. And realizing that Queen is actually never coming back to serve him, he then proceeds to curse her name. But Trick merely responds that now that even if she's out of the way, and even if she's no longer going back to them, she did serve her role pretty well. And even then points out that she doesn't fully understand what Professor Clover is actually after. So it's not like she's going to be much of a threat to Professor Clover's plans. And at which point Professor Clover reveals that once all is said and done, he plans to, and I quote, steal time itself. It's not entirely clear what he says by that, but it's apparent it has been apparent, because obviously with the first treasure he's stolen and now the second treasure he's stolen, it's apparent that he's actually stealing things related to time. So I don't know, maybe he means that figuratively, or he means that literally. Maybe he's looking for treasures that are actually have time-related abilities, but who knows up to this point. It's not fully stated outright, but any case, as Joker, Queen and Silverheart actually return to solid ground. Queen and Silverheart have a very tearful reunion, with Silverheart stating that he should have told Queen the truth sooner, and that it was ultimately his fault that Professor Clover was able to trick her. But she merely points out that she doesn't really care about the truth, and that all that matters is that she is Queen Silver Diamond Queen, and that she is his granddaughter. So which makes Silverheart happy that she actually has indeed forgiven him for what's happened, and also doesn't seem to hold a grudge against him, even though he lied to her. That is still a thing, regardless of whether or not what his intentions were. He still lied about where she actually came from, and that they're not actually related by family. It's at this point where he notices Queen's necklace and points out that it suits her. But then proceeds to tell her something that he tried to tell her that night, but never got a chance to, which is that she's already a fine phantom thief. Which causes her to tear up, and Silverheart then proceeds to elaborate that she's officially graduated, and that now they could actually steal treasure together as grandfather and granddaughter, like he always envisioned they would be able to one day. Which makes her happy. And Joker is happy as well, partially because he got the treasure, but also because now that everything is resolved and Queen is returned to the side of good again, he points out that now she's actually going to be a worthy rival for him, and then proceeds to point out that next time he sees her, he'll actually face off against her, and points out that he actually can't wait. So, yeah, this episode just kind of ends on a little bit of a happy note where Queen finally rejoins the good guys. She's obviously been in a very bad state for a while because she had believed Professor Clover's crap and believed that Silverheart was actually the one who killed her parents, when evidently that wasn't true at all. So yeah, Silverheart actually did lie to her, but not in the way you think. He actually stole her away to actually save her from Professor Clover, and also changed her name so that she wouldn't be targeted by assassins anymore. So yeah, now because of that, Queen Emerald is now officially, Diamond Queen is now officially a Phantom Thief. But more to the point, I'm interested to see what Professor Clover meant by saying he was going to steal time itself. So yeah, it's evident that Professor Clover clearly has something cooking up, but what hasn't been fully elaborated yet. But I am interested to see how he's actually going to come forward with that. But for right now, I think I'm going to leave it here, and that's going to be my review of Kaitou Joker. What did you guys think? Let's get discussing down in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter in the description below. Be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well if you want to help support me. Be sure to go check those out down below. Again, only a couple bucks a month. It does help support me, so just go check that out. And finally, if you want to see more content from me, there's actually 2 ways you can do that. One is by checking out my Twitch down in the description below. I stream every Sunday, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, schedule permitting, or unless I need a break. So be sure to go follow me over there so you actually go see those. I actually do need to fill out a requirement, so if you guys can actually help me with that, I would very much appreciate it. Again, link is down in the description. Just all you need to do is follow me over there to help me with the requirement. That's it. That is all you need to do. Just hit the follow button. That is it. And if you do that, I would be very happy. So be sure to go do that, especially since it helps you actually get a notification when the live streams go live. So which is just kind of important. So go check that out. And finally, the other way you can actually check out more content from me is by actually seeing the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent one. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is a video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me. So if you want to try something new or see more of what you like, then be sure to check both of those videos out. But regardless of whether or not you do any or all of those things, thank you guys so much for watching. And also next time I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!